hello everyone, and welcome to the NFL version of Proline. The gang's all here from Las Vegas. Harvard Barnhart and Zach Simony going to take a look at a couple of NFL games going for the weekend. The weather is cold around the country, but the Vegas numbers are hot, and that's what we're going to get into. Also going to get into some free selections and some winning plays for the weekend. Harvard, we'll start with you. You're off a pair of these high roller 10-star plays. You had Florida State, you had the Denver Broncos, part of a sizzling 21-8 run with these plays. Congratulations. Plus, what's going on with all these injuries in the NFL? What's the reason for it?
Well, they must be slipping on ice or something. I mean, it is wintertime. I've never seen so many injuries. Forget people like, Darrelle Revis and some of these guys, that really impact the game. Just to start with the quarterbacks, it started with Tony Romo for Dallas, then Sam Bradford's out, Andrew Luck's out, Ben Roethlisberger, he just got a concussion, and he's maybe on standby for this week. Better check the injury reports. Josh McCown, he broke his collarbone. Joe Flacco, he got replaced. He's out for the year. Matt Schaub, pick six. He won his first game. And I'll tell you another thing. One of the reasons that could be, they have, it's like in the SEC. You always ask yourself, how come there's no great quarterbacks out of the SEC? Well, it's not because of anything other than they won't sign a letter of intent to go to the SEC because they know that the defense will crush them. And if you get crushed playing for Arkansas or Ole Miss or Alabama or LSU or something like that, that could completely ruin your career in the NFL. So they don't get those real quick defensive guys all season long. So they go to other teams, like Stanford or something, where no one plays any defense. Well, when they get in the NFL and they get all these great defensive players, no telling, these guys with different rules and stuff like that, they're getting hurt. What do you think, Zach?
It's just been one of those years where we talked about it a few times, but it just keeps piling up. You have to wonder if Carson Palmer will be next to thwart the Arizona Cardinal season. Now they lost Chris Johnson. They have no running game, and he is taking vicious hits. So he's only lasted one full season since 2010, so you have to wonder if he's next. I mean, that's basically it. Each and every week you got to say who's next, because two or three quarterbacks are getting hurt each and every week. We just discussed some of the names that are starting in the NFL right now. Matt Schaub, Matt Hasselbeck, Mark Sanchez, Matt Castle, Blaine Gabbert, possibly Austin Davis and Landry Jones next week. So this list is unbelievable. It makes handicapping the NFL very difficult, which in Vegas we have the advantage of in-game wagering to offset some of these games, or you just have to dwindle your board a little bit because a lot of these inexperienced quarterbacks, they can have a good week one week and the next, but watch out.
Well, can they change the rules any? I was listening to Tom Brady after in his interview, and he was ticked off, but he was saying, hey, that's football. It's one of those things. He says because they can't hit you high, they're hitting you a lot lower, and hitting you lower is taking out knees and things like that. But, there's just a lot of injuries. Do you think that they can change any of the rules to protect some of these stars? The NFL has to protect their stars, and obviously it's the quarterbacks. They can't have this list of players out.
Well, interestingly enough, a lot of these quarterbacks are getting hurt. They're not getting hurt from taking hits under center. They're getting hurt from scrambling. So I think some of these quarterbacks need to make better decisions. You saw Ben Roethlisberger scramble on a third down, get another concussion. Josh McCown scrambling around. He got hurt. Tony Romo, he got driven to the ground trying to evade the pass rusher. So I think some of these guys just need to do what Peyton Manning does, and when they see someone coming, just go down. Don't sit there and take these hits and blows and throw the ball away, get rid of the football, do something. But if you're going to continually take hits, you're going to have these guys get knocked out with concussions, rib injuries, stuff like that. So part of it's that. Quarterbacks just need to stop running the football so much, and then the other one is offensive line play is just below average this year. We see so many special coaches, assistants, offensive coordinators, stuff like that get fired mid-season. Why not an offensive line coach with all the problems out there?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of injuries at the quarterback position in the last 2 years, and it's really exacerbated to this year. It's just getting worse. I attribute it to just the physical size of these players. Basketball and football, guys are getting bigger, physically stronger. The catch with football is that the game is about crashing into each other at high speeds, particularly in the secondary and when they rush quarterbacks. And I think this is a problem in the NFL that's going to continue. I don't know what rules you could change to fix it, but it's something that they're going to have to address and think about. Because I think you're going to see a lot more injuries down the road simply because guys are bigger than they used to be. You look at a guy like John Hanna back in the 70s, greatest offensive lineman of all time. He was like 5'11", 260 pounds, a monster for his day, but that's nothing compared to guys today. So, and a guy like Andrew Luck is a quarterback that the NFL wanted to build the next 10 years around. Well, he is out too, so it makes it much more difficult to market your product, and the quality of the play goes down as well. So it's a very serious consideration.
Another quarterback that got hurt running the football.
Yes.
Well, like you said, when you're 345 pounds and you can run a 4.5, but yet the opponent's knee is still the same size as it was forever. It's you're going to crash into those knees and just crush that ACL, MCLs.
All right, well, let's get to the battle in the Meadowlands this weekend. You got the Jets playing with the Giants, sort of a fun non-conference game here. Game open pick'em. Now the Jets are the favorite. Not really a road game for them as they both play in the same park. 2.5, Jets favored with a total of 45. And when you look at this Giants team, maybe 2 weeks ago, you look at this game and said, well, they're probably going to be the favorite. Technically a home game, but they look so good in nearly beating the defending champion Patriots. They come off the bye week last week, so you kind of think that they're the team that's going to run away with this mediocre NFC East. And what do they do? Boy, they look terrible in a game at Washington. 3 picks by Eli Manning, down 20-0. Nothing going right, and their defensive numbers are terrible. Meanwhile, you got this Jets team that's off of a big win over Miami, a division game, 38-20. Ryan Fitzpatrick, we've seen good and bad with him, but he was terrific last week. 20 touchdowns, 11 interceptions on the season. Great running back in Chris Ivory. Defense has some trouble here with Revis has a concussion, but overall numbers are still top 10. So Harvard, both teams need a win here. Jets are 6-5. The Giants are 5-6. If they're going to make the postseason, so who do you think is better?
Well, I think not who's better, but who's going to be better for this week is going to be the New York Jets. Lay the 2 points, especially with that Harvard guy. Ryan Fitzpatrick, 4 touchdown passes, no picks, 277 yards against Miami last week. I mean, the Jets' offense put on 38 points. Let's just hook up Fitzpatrick to Brandon Marshall a couple of times every game, and that will really loosen up the opposition's defense. When speaking of defense, the Jets, they're number 1 versus total yards allowed. They're number 2 versus the pass, and they're number 3 versus the run. So where's the problem for Eli? Well, he's had 9 interceptions this year. Not so many as he had a year or 2 ago. 18 sacks, though. Plus, Eli and company, they have a bad defense. They're number 32 in yards allowed, and they're number 23 in points allowed. So that doesn't bode well if Fitzpatrick can pick up a couple quick scores with Brandon Marshall. Versus Washington last week, Eli had 3 picks. He was sacked 3 times. They only converted 3 of 15 on 3rd downs. And Mohammed Wilkerson, he's like the Jets sack machine lately. Look for him to get in that backfield. And speaking of Revis being hurt or out, it doesn't really matter. Marcus Williams is his replacement. He leads the Jets in interceptions, and he's not even a starter. So he'll be starting this week probably, or get in there somehow. But mark him down for 1 interception. Put Wilkerson down for at least 1 or 2 sacks. Fitzpatrick for 4 more touchdown passes. And the Jets move from 6-5 to 7-5, and they march forward towards the playoffs.
All right, well, Eli Manning has very good overall numbers, 23 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and outstanding targets with Beckham and Randall. On the other hand, that's not who showed up against the Redskins on Sunday. He had 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 3 sacks, just 51% completions against these suddenly surging Redskins. The real story with the Giants that stands out like a sore thumb is this defense, which has been terrible. 22nd in points allowed. They're dead last against the pass, 309.2 yards per game. The Jets are a run-oriented team. But, boy, when you see these kind of defensive numbers, I wonder if they're not going to go up tempo or try to throw deep a little bit. So, Zach, I haven't been able to figure out these New York Giants at all this season. How about you?
Yeah, you know what? It's one of those things that NFC East, who's going to win it? Nobody knows. And I haven't seen the future odds on it, but I guess you'd have to say the Giants are the favorite. Doesn't mean they're going to get the job done. Very bad loss last week against the Washington Redskins, but let's look at the Washington Redskins. They've been a great home team that nobody has really discussed. Besides that Week 1 loss against Miami, they've won every game at home, so that was a big factor. They tried their best to come back and win, down 3 touchdowns, and put a good effort, but just fell short. But this is the week that both of these teams, the Giants, I just don't see them propelling themselves here in this key spot. They haven't all season. Even though I've ragged on Ryan Fitzpatrick for the most part, he has a little bit of bye factor right now. I think the Jets have had good matchups to position themselves in for this playoff run. Last week against the Dolphins was a very good matchup for them, and then here they go again. They're going to have a great matchup against the Giants. So it's a tough game to pick, but I think you have to lean with the Jets just because they have the better balanced football style. Fitzpatrick's scrambling just enough. He's throwing the ball accurately just enough, and the Giants, once again, they're putting too much pressure on Eli Manning to throw to his skill receivers. It's just not working out. I think the Jets can play enough defense and Ryan Fitzpatrick can get enough done, and we'll have the chants going again. Oh, Fitzmagic. It's in effect again.
Huh? Well, we'll take a look at the total in this one. One reason is it's December in the Meadowlands, but the weather's going to be very nice on Sunday, 54 degrees and sunny. Jets defense, okay, they've taken a little bit of a slip back of late. Darrelle Revis, don't know if he's going to play or not with the concussion. They're on a 6-1 run over the total. When they face a losing team, they're 4-0 over the total. Then you got the Giants defense. They can't stop anybody. Terrible pass defense, but their passing offense is if they get behind 13-0 or something, they do have the ability to come back with the passing attack, which incompletions will stop the clock, make the game longer, and that can help if you like to look at games over the total. They're on an 8-4-1 run over the total, and after the Giants lose a game, they're 9-4 over the total. So I see a little bit of a higher scoring games than the odds makers think. Jets, Giants over the total.